Ball League that starts tonight, and I'm Joe Bowling. Alex Espinoza to my right side, and my far right side is Billy Watson. We're up here on the wobbly top row of the bleachers, so your camera's going to have a little bit of shakiness to it, but nonetheless, we'll bring you the broadcast. Alex, we got to see a game earlier, and this time Rio Hondo will take on Brownsville Rivera.
That's correct, Joe. Just a few minutes ago, we had a game against the Harlingen South Lady Hawks and then the Weslaco Lady Panthers. The Hawks would win the game in 2 sets, and they were dominating pretty much in both sets. The only exception, however, set number 2, the Weslaco Panthers had a little bit of momentum near the very end of it. They had a chance to be able to take the lead as they were only down by 3 points. However, near the very end, the Weslaco Panthers could not handle the dominating attack, and then just errors. Rio Hondo wearing in black, and as well as Brownsville Rivera in black, and I'm just excited to see a very good game. These two teams will see what they can do. It's going to be what mostly matters is just both these teams having fun and getting ready to warm up for what will be the high school seasons in just a couple of months.
Brownsville Rivera last year made it to the championship game of this Highway 83 JRS league, and they were a powerhouse when it came to the high school level. They'll be serving to start this game, and they'll be coming at you as you look away from the camera, and the serve is on the direction of the Rio Hondo side, and away we go. That's an ace, and 1-0 Rivera on top to start it off.
And just a very quick attack for Rivera, and for the defense on Rio Hondo, that was Mia Zuniga, who had the ball in her hands but slips just in between. You got to be really careful whenever you're trying to dig those balls out.
Second one, and back-to-back aces for Rivera. They jump out 2-0. Let's run down the scoring real quick for you, as at the service line for Rivera is Christina Garza, by the way, with back-to-back aces. It's a race to 25 for these two teams, and they do play 2 sets. Talk about the scoring from that point on. The serve is returned. Rio Hondo keeps it in play, gets it over. Rivera on the attack. Before that, that's going to be a push, and so another point to Rivera. They go up 3-0.
And first 3 points for Rivera come out of fouls or errors in this case against Rio Hondo. The first 2 were service aces that just slipped out of the hands of both players, and in this one was just holding onto the ball too much.
Rio Hondo this time will get it over. Rivera on the set from the cross side. That's partially blocked, but it's enough for a point and a kill for Rivera. They go up 4-0.
We talk about Rivera and just how much of a powerhouse they come from, and look at what they've done right now, leading it 4-0. And so far I'm seeing a lot of good attacks by Rivera. Next
set is good as the serve is returned. Rivera allowed to set that up. Setter up there is Clarissa Olivares on the front row, and that's good enough for another point. Olivares sets it up, and the front row puts it away for another point.
Just some miscommunication for Rio Hondo. That was Gonzalez and as well as Zuniga, both with the ball right on their side, and they couldn't agree on who was going to take it first. That's where you have to be careful and call it whenever you're going to take it.
Olivares puts that one into the net, and Rio Hondo on the board with their first point. They do go to 25. It's not a win by 2 as you would see during the regular high school season. So it's first 1 to 25 wins the game, and they play 2 sets, and then it's points added on to the pool play in order to decide who wins these pools. Serve across by Rio Hondo is a deep serve, and it goes out of bounds, and Rivera scores again. They're up 6-1. Or will they call that a reset?
That's a close one right there, as the referee gave it a thumbs up, so it looks like it should be in.
They're going to reset that.
And if it was out of bounds, the official probably would have had both of her hands almost shaped like 5s facing her, and it looks like they're going to call it. They may not. It looks like they should be calling it in favor.
It's a reset, and then a big kill there by Kenya Lorara, and it's a quick 6-1 lead for Rivera, as Brownsville Rivera on the attack. Now they'll substitute into the game right now. Back to the service line as Laisha Izaguirre. Izaguirre will be serving, a right-handed server. Again, this adjustment that has to be made on servers is that there's just no room back there on that back line. You're standing still. Any jump serves, it's near impossible to get that in play. That's a point for Rivera.
And I tell you what, that's a very good thing for any volleyball player, learning how to play with very little space. It helps build a lot of character. I can remember in football terms, Jerry Rice used to practice with tennis balls in order to catch a football. So if you can do something very difficult it'll make it a lot better for you to play as a volleyball in volleyball.
Rivera on the attack, another big set and another big kill, and they are just pounding it away on the net.
That one sounded like it hurt too. We could hear it from the floor. We can hear it hitting the floor right here, and it was very, very strong. It was, ouch.
Kenya Ibarra on the kill for Brownsville Rivera. Next serve across for the Lady Raiders. Rio Hondo, Lady Bobcats on the return, will ease it over. Chance here with a good set for another big kill. They'll set up Ibarra, swings away, partially blocked, returned by Rio Hondo. Right up to the net, second hit over, right back at you. Here comes Rivera. Second hit over, diving play, keeps it alive for Rio Hondo. That one-handed over to the back row. Rivera back on the attack, setting Ibarra. Over the net it comes, and a point for Rivera.
And that one, they should have just let it go. The Rivera should have just let it go out of bounds. Rio Hondo, correction, should have let it go out of bounds. Had Rio Hondo not played it, it would have been out.
Deep serve this time to the back left corner. The set comes across, played over, that's played. Might have been out. Rivera on the attack from the back row. Big swing there. And another point for Rivera from the back row. The point occurs.
And a good kick by one of the fans right there, too, as it almost hit one of the fans in the stadium. Fortunately for her, she kicked it out of the way.
Timeout on the court. Rivera up 10-1. Our coverage of volleyball continues after this.
On display and more coming every day. Looking for your favorite album from the past? First pressings, collectibles. How about a 45 with a single you just have to have? Freddie Fender, Johnny Cash, Hank Williams, Elvis, Beatles, blues, rock, classics, Tejano, it's all here. Organized and priced for you. Forever Memories, 237 North Sam Houston, San Benito.
Start the new year off right. Alpha Men's Primary Care wants to remind all men it's time for your annual physical. Call to schedule an appointment. It's about the body, mind, and emotion. Stop feeling sluggish, having no energy, or being stressed. Alpha Men's Healthcare believes in a holistic approach to your overall health. Even if you have low testosterone, diabetes, high blood pressure, or gained weight, let Alpha Men's Primary Care help you increase your energy, stamina, endurance, and quality of life. Start feeling young again. Alpha Men's Primary Care is changing the way men's healthcare is done.
Back here at Donna High School as we continue our volleyball coverage, and after a timeout called by Rio Hondo, Brownsville Rivera just continues to accelerate here out of game one. They're up now double digits here in game one of this two-set match. Later tonight, one more thing, Alex, later tonight we'll have this Rivera team against Harlingen South, and everyone expecting that one to be the game of the night here in night one of the Highway 83 JRS League. Rio Hondo was playing that ball, then they blow that dead. That's another factor that comes into play here, is playing back-to-back courts. Balls will come over from that other court, and you have to be waiting for the play to be interrupted.
I'm just surprised that the one thing that hasn't affected either of these two matches that we've had is the whistles, because you can tell from the other side that there's another game going on. And as a player, you're so focused on the game that if you hear a whistle, you may think that the play is dead. And thankfully, they're able to understand the difference that your left ear, if you hear the whistle, that means it's you. If it's the right, don't listen.
Don't listen. Rivera keeps this one alive, gets it over on the Rio Hondo side. Lady Bobcats still looking for their first big kill of the game. Rivera sets up Ibarra. Nice return this time from the back row. Ibarra swings away again. This one returned. Rio Hondo sets it up. Lady Bobcats will be called for a lift, and Ibarra producing this time across the front row.
And that marks the second lift for Rio Hondo. Got to be careful whenever you're making those plays, setting up for a possible attack. The best thing that any volleyball player should be able to do is set up the attack, and those are crucial for a game.
Rio Hondo returns the serve. Rivera sets up Ibarra again. Got it past the block, and another kill. 14-1, Rivera on top.
That was a close one. Had it been a few more inches to the right, could you imagine the ball hitting the trash can at that point too?
Back to serve again for Brownsville Rivera. They'll serve this across with some pace on the ball. Keeping the ball on the back row. Rio Hondo will get it over. Rivera now on the attack. Trouble on communication there. Ibarra eases that over. Played by Rio Hondo. Punched up in the net. Another point, Brownsville Rivera.
Now that one, you can't blame Rio Hondo at all. It's just extremely difficult to being able to stop the ball from hitting the net, and then all the momentum, the reflection, the it bouncing off of the net, you can never tell where it's going to come from. It's not easy.
Izagiri gets that serve over. Rivera immediately goes on the attack. Ibarra swings away and puts it away straight to the floor.
Those are probably one of the most difficult spikes you could ever do if you're a volleyball player, because you're trying to get it in between two players. You have to time it perfectly to wherever the ball is, and then depending on how much power you're going to use your hand, you have to be careful of not going too far or too close to a player.
Brownsville Rivera to serve again. Before that, a substitution will check into the game for the Rio Hondo Lady Bobcats as Carly Lozana will check into the game. She'll set up a right side on the front row. Good serve, played on the back row by Rio Hondo. They'll get it over, but this is another opportunity here for Rivera. Ibarra off the net this time, puts it on the back row up in the rafters. You can play that. Rio Hondo will get it over. Rivera from the back row gets it to the front row. Now a back row attack off the net, and another point for Rivera. Everything going Brownsville Rivera's way.
Everything going Brownsville Rivera's way, and that point, that was really home court advantage as the ball hits the net and then going over the head of one of the players and into the middle, causing us something what we would call is a campfire.
Next serve across is a deep serve, and that's an ace off the back row for Brownsville Rivera.
Man, those are not easy to follow because it's going to the right corner, and there was nobody there. They expected the ball just to go inside, and unfortunately, that means Rio Hondo now has to take care of that right side.
This time Izagiri serves one a little too strong, but she had double digits points scored on her first rotation through to the service line. Not bad production as she rotates out of the game and they bring the libero back in. Serve across for Rio Hondo, a short serve, played with a nice pass, a quick set in the middle. Ibarra punches that over, punch right back over, and a point scored for Rio Hondo. Heads up play that time by Faith Silguro.
And a good punch out for her as the ball was going way too wide on the right side, and she was just in the right place and in the right time.
Rivera sets it up this time. New hitter on the far left side. That's going to be in the net, called against Rivera. A couple of points scored now by the Rio Hondo Lady Bobcats. Makes it an 18-4 game.
And a little bit of be careful if you're Rio Hondo, because trying to be able to time the block takes a lot of patience and then observation, making sure that, one, the offense isn't trying to go the opposite direction.
This is Ibarra looking for the back row. That's out of bounds. They did take a point off the board for Brownsville Rivera, so that your score is right as you see that on our scoreboard, 17-5. We're in set one of two sets between Brownsville Rivera and Rio Hondo. That's in the net, and a point to the Lady Raiders.
That'll mark the game at 18-5, and we can see what Rivera is going to do if they can continue to attack and being able to stop the possible momentum coming over from Rio Hondo as the ball going back into Rivera territory. Right side set up, and it's in for the Rio Hondo, but they're able to take it out. And a good floater inside, but unfortunately for Rio Hondo, that hits the net. And that point will go in favor of Rivera. Serving for Brownsville Rivera, we have Clarissa Olivares.
Alex Espinozo takes over on play-by-play. I'll be here with you, buddy, but go ahead and take it over. You got it, bud.
And now we'll see how Rio Hondo does it as they take it out. Inside setup, it's Olivares, and on the hit was their libero. It hits the net, unfortunately, and Rivera will not get any points. That goes to Rio Hondo to make it a 18-6 deficit.
Check it, it's now 19 as they put that point up.
Thank you, Joe. Sorry about that.
And it's critical for Rio Hondo, and what they're doing here is scoring some points. I know a lot of times in volleyball at the high school level, you get down by 13, 14 points, and you start looking ahead to set two. With the way the scoring is, you need every point you can get. It may come into play later in the standings.
You're right. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, that these two sets are based on differential. Should there be a tie in both sets, there is no set three. It'll be based off of how many points you scored in total in this game.
Another kill for Kenya Ibarra. She rotates back to the service line now.
And Ibarra will set up as Rivera leads it with 20 points. And the setup for Rio Hondo going out. And they'll be setting it up. Rivera to the left side. No good. The dig attempt by Alisa Silguero is no good. And Rivera will score, making it 21-6. No substitutions coming in, and they will stay with their original 6 as the serve going inside, marking another service ace. If memory serves me, well, that's service ace number 4 for Rivera.
First service ace for Ibarra. You're right, number 4 on a team count for Brownsville Rivera.
And Ibarra will serve again. Let's see if she can get service ace number 2. As service goes down the middle, it is digged. On that dig was Cristina Garza, and Rio Hondo takes it out. The kill attempt, no good. They tried to save it. That was Rivera with the save attempt, and they will not get any points. That will go in favor of Rio Hondo to make it 22-7. Up to serve, we have Rio Hondo. They're going down the middle. Libero is able to dig it up. Set up to the left side, and the hit is saved by Rio Hondo. Taken out by Selvuro. And the block is good, gets it out. A little bit of a jousting incident that almost happened. And the setup by the Jesus is fruitful, or not actually, as the ball goes out of bounds. That marks another point for Rio Hondo, making it 22-8. And the serve inside, looks like they call a violation as the server hit the line.
Again, tough area to serve from here at Donna High School when they split these courts, and there's just not much room. Maybe 5 feet, and that's being gracious on the amount of room they have to serve.
And it would be 2, and that's another loss of point. That's another point for Rivera as the ball goes outside to the right. A little bit of miscommunication and nowhere in the reach of any of the defenders' hands.
Serving now for the win.
And this will be game point. Dig recovered, and a spike and a kill attempt almost happened. Rivera takes it, setting it up to the right side. The spike is blocked and digged out. That was the Jesus. That was Rio Hondo on that block, and the ball hitting the net will mark it another point number 9 for Rio Hondo as they're down not by a lot, but any points count, as Joe said. And the service, that was Rochelle Guerra going down the middle, and the hit digged out. Service up, and the ball's taken out. That was Cristina Garza. And another attack and kill this time will conclude set number 1 as Rivera takes it 25-9.
We'll take a break and come back with game 2. Rivera takes on Rio Hondo after this on Rio Sports Live.
Fans, if you want to look your best at the next game, then let Chewy's Custom Sports go to work for you. From custom designs and graphics to mass production in-house. If it's hats, shirts, buttons, mugs, cups, banners, and more, then Chewy's is there for every team and every sport. A veteran-owned company in touch with the community. It's Chewy's Custom Sports in San Benito. Forever Memories, Antiques and Collectibles, located at 237 North Sam Houston in San Benito, is filled with vintage items, collectibles, and a selection of vinyl records that's as good as it gets. Every shelf, every aisle, and table is filled daily by a number of vendors that ensures that something here just might be the item you have to have. The vinyl record area helps bring an added atmosphere that makes for the fun trip when stepping back in time with the memories. Forever Memories, Antiques and Collectibles in San Benito. Trevino's Restaurant in Edinburgh, now serving quality, fresh, delicious food. Treat your taste buds and enjoy the relaxing atmosphere. Join us from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day, Friday and Saturday until midnight. Trevino's.
If you just graduated high school, are looking to change careers, or to upgrade your job skills, Texas Southmost College is the place to start. With over 50 certificates and associate degrees to choose from, TSC has the career for you. At TSC, you get a quality education that's close to home. Earn a certificate or an associate degree and get the education you need for today and tomorrow's job market.
Wouldn't you like to be in demand?
Register now at Texas Southmost College in Brownsville.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to set number 2 of the Rio Grande Valley Highway 83 tournament. We have Rio Hondo playing against Brownsville Rivera. Rivera winning the first set 25-9. I'm Alex Espinosa here for play-by-play. I'm here on my left side. We have Joe Bowling, and on my right we have Billy Watson on camera. The first set was a terrific display of power volleyball for Rivera as the team dominated in aces, in attacks, and kills. For Rio Hondo, the best thing they can do is not only win this set, but play defensively, because should both teams tie, and meaning one team wins set number 1 and the other wins set number 2, that means that the winner will be based off of point differentials. And Rio Hondo will serve. Rio Hondo is at the top, and at the bottom we have Rivera. Setup is by Izaguirre, and she'll take it out. And on the right side, and it's saved by their libero, that is Rochelle Guerra. And the spike kill going for Laisha Izaguirre. And the first points of set number 2 will go to Rivera.
Right there, the Rivera Lady Raiders setting it up, and they used a lot of power hitting on the front row during game 1. Takes the first point here.
Let's see just how much power hitting goes for Rivera, as the serve was by Darlene Longoria. And now the Rio Hondo will score their first point of the game, going down the middle.
Already you can see an adjustment made by the Lady Bobcats, as that was a return of serve. Much better than game 1, much better communication. And that second hit saw that wide open spot in the middle of the floor for the point that ties the game.
We remember that in the first set between these two teams, it was Rivera that was leading 2-0 based off of 2 service aces. As the dig goes from Alondra Guzman, and on the left side for the kill is Kenya Ibarra, and that marks another point for Rivera.
Ibarra was instrumental in game 1 with a ton of kills on her first rotation across the net, and then she went back to the service line and added even more input for the team.
One thing we can appreciate about Rivera is how they're able to diversify all their players into different positions. It's one of the most important assets in volleyball, and it definitely helps them here. As that was Ibarra again. Unfortunately, the ball goes. They stay in bounds, and they will say it's good.
Yeah, that's a point. That was just a big swing and a big kill.
That was a close one too. It looked like the ref was signaling under the net, but thankfully it wasn't. That marks another one for Izaguirre. And the service ace for Izaguirre will be good. That was Ibarra with the kill, and this time the ace goes to Izaguirre, and that makes it 4-1 Rivera. Izaguirre serves on the right side, saved and taken now by Guzman. Serve is hit and good. That'll mark point. Correction, that'll be a point for Rivera as they lead it now 5-1. That was a net violation. And now Izaguirre to serve, third consecutive serve, and this one will be a service error. Out of bounds on the right side, and Rio Hondo will take the ball.
So it wasn't as big a run as we saw in game 1, in which Rivera jumped out to that double-digit lead in a blink of an eye. 5-2, Rio Hondo get a couple of big serves here, as rotating back Dominique De Jesus. If she can get some points here, this team may be competitive in this game.
And the serve for Rio Hondo on the right side. That's Guzman. And she will take it out. And it looks like it's in, and it is in, just barely. And that'll be point number 6 for Rivera.
Well placed hit. First of all, that was a knuckleball serve by De Jesus, and it was a nice return. But then right down the line and back in the back corner.
Serving is Clarissa Olivares. Ball going out. They will say it was a push, and that was points for Rivera. It'll be 7-2. Back to serve is Clarissa Olivares. Other players to watch out for here for Rivera is Darlene Garza as well as Kenya Ibarra. As the serve and the setup for Ibarra, going to the left side, and good. Rivera scoring again. That marks 5 points unanswered for Rivera.
How about that when the libero can come up and become the setter instantly, but when you got the big hitter like Ibarra, hey, just get it close.
The libero, you can say, is a floater. They can play almost any position, and their duty is just to be able to help out in any way for their team. And set up this time will be going to Guzman. Guzman gets her kill down the middle, and they will say net violation as correction. No, they will call it points for Rivera. The referee made a mistake. She was pointing to the left when she meant to point to the right in favor of Rivera. This time, again, Rivera as the ball going in the net and staying in Rio Hondo territory. And Rivera leading it 10-2. A little bit different from how they were leading it in the beginning. And the set takeout, that's Dominica Jesus. Serve. And a floater for Ibarra is digged out by Rio Hondo. Set up to the left side. That was Guzman. And Guzman, they will call it in favor of Rivera.
And the net called that time against the Rio Hondo, coming up to challenge that hit and just got a little too close, edged the net, point Rivera.
And Olivares continues to serve again, and a service ace for her. That should be the first one of set number 2 for Rivera. As Brownsville Rivera leading it 12-2. Down the middle, it was the serve, and it'll be taken out. On the dig was Guzman. Olivares sets up for Ibarra, and Ibarra with another kill on the right side this time. And how about that? It's 13-2 for Brownsville Rivera.
Now they're on a roll. Rio Hondo, you can see now on the return of serve, they're scrambling more so than attacking.
And a big roll, and another service ace number 2 for Rivera, and that marks, if memory serves me well, that's about 11 unanswered points and just pure domination for Rivera.
Got to remember just a while ago it was 5-2 and looked like Rio Hondo had a chance to get some momentum. Nothing doing now.
Whatever Rivera did whatever they did in transition for that, they did it right. They didn't even call a timeout. And that'll end the streak at 11 for Rivera as the ball hits the net, and Rio Hondo will take the ball. Up to serve for Rio Hondo, we have Savannah Gonzalez.
Lady Bobcats need to get a little progress here forward on that scoreboard. Just a couple of serves in a row, maybe score some points.
And possibly a good streak could help them too in this one, as that is Guerra for the pass, and it's an attack for Guzman. It's saved, and Rio Hondo will just float it down in the middle, recovered by Guerra. Good communication for them, and the ball going out, and that was in favor of Rivera. They'll take the point number 15.
Lady Bobcats spotted one time early in this game an opening in the middle of the defense. That's been shored up on the fly without a timeout. These Rivera players, they're accustomed to playing at a high level, and it looks like they're going to be another tough team if this is an indication of how good they are.
Can you imagine just both this team playing against Harlingen South? It'd be a terrific matchup. Could be seeing a shootout between both offenses. As a net violation, it will go in favor of Rivera to make it 16-3.
Of course, Rivera and Harlingen South, district foes in 32-6A. So, yeah, we'll get to see them. That's our broadcast game number 2 tonight. We'll have that on. There will be a game in between these two, but then we'll have those two on this court right here tonight.
And Rio Hondo on a good offensive attack, and that's Guzman from the right side going left this time, and it is out of bounds. And Rio Hondo will get its first points after a couple of serves, making it 16-4. Up to serve, it looks like we'll have Alisa Silguero, and she'll serve for the Lady Bobcats on the left side of the camera. And the serve going down the middle, and it's in.
Nice serve that time for the Lady Bobcats as they now edge up to 16-5. Can they put a run together here and sustain some rally and some momentum staying on their side of the court?
Let's just see what the defense can do, and let's see if they can get another service ace in their favor as the dig was good unfortunately did not go anywhere and goes under the net to mark another point for the Lady Bobcats, making it a 10-point deficit.
That serve had a lot of pace on it from Melissa Silguro.
And going down the middle, that was Guerra for the recovery. Going into Rio Hondo territory and staying in Rio Hondo territory. And now the ball comes back in favor of Rivera. They're up 17-6.
Gave up a couple of points, but get right back at it. It all started with a pass off that return of serve.
Rochelle Guerra to serve, right side. Set up to the left, going down the middle, and Guerra is able to take the ball back, and they're able to get it out into Rio Hondo territory. Dig by Guerra. Right side, left side setup. That was Izaguirre for a kill attempt that didn't favor him. Izaguirre passes to the right, and it's Guzman for a hit down the middle. And a wonderful slide, but no save, and Rio Hondo will not get any points. That'll be Rivera for an 18-6 lead.
And that time, court conditions did play a factor. Rio Hondo players racing back towards that back line, saw bleachers, and hesitated before they made that last step to return that ball.
It's not easy to be able to call those plays. You think it may go out of bounds, and sometimes you may want to risk yourself to save the ball, but this one was not a good idea for them.
Well, in that case, there was a lot of bleachers coming right at you. You're dead on the run towards that back row.
And that point will go to Rio Hondo, and they'll come up to serve. Up to serve is Julie Del Bosque, and she'll be serving very close to the benches and serving to the left side. Set up, and they have to get it out. Hits the net and reflexes out of bounds, and that'll be Rio Hondo's points. Rochelle Guerra with the attack attempt, and it did not serve them well.
These are both teams you see on the scoreboard where it says Rio Hondo black and Rivera black. In the Highway 83 JRS League, black indicates the varsity level. And so you'll see some gold and black, and the gold teams, the JV. Donna Gold is in this bracket, and but we're keeping with the varsity. This is the varsity play that you're seeing right here between Rio Hondo and Rivera.
And that marks kill number 3 for Alondra Guzman as she serves it. And Rivera will take it out. Net and down. That marks 20-8 Rivera. And Guzman will be back to serve. Played terrific on the left side of the field, and now we'll see how she serves as going down the middle. Set up left. On that out was Alexis Ryan. And on that kill attempt was Guzman, no good, going out of bounds on the right side, and that'll mark another point for Rio Hondo. They'll get the ball back.
She had a good idea. There was a lot of room back there on that back left corner defensively for Rio Hondo. She went with just a little, tried to thread the needle a little too much on that right sideline, and then that back corner just a little bit out.
And that's just a lot of excitement that helps them here as the serve. That is Jalissa Sauceda. And she'll get her service ace to make it a 10-point deficit. And Rio Hondo not down by a lot this time. We'll see what they can do. As they're only down by 10, they do need to get 25 though in order to win this match. As the setup for Rio Hondo floats it inside. That was Lisha Izaguirre for point 21, and now the momentum comes back to Rivera.
Rivera has controlled this game since it was 5-2. They took on a run, went on a consecutive 9-point run to make it a 14-5 game. And since then, they've kind of dictated the pace and now trying to finish it off.
And a setup, that is Del Bosque with the setup and the hit. There is a lift, and that'll go points in favor of Rivera, 22-10.
It's too bad because they had a nice set that time for Faith Silgura, and she was ready to put one away. But take that big hit away on the lift, a point to Rivera.
And now Cristina Garza will serve. And that will be a service error. Rio Hondo will get their points down by 11. And kind of like you said, Joe, where you don't have a lot of space to serve. And Garza had a little bit of problems there as a family was right behind her. They were trying to get past the courts.
Just affects your approach. There is no approach. You have to stand still and just lift the ball and then hit it across.
And this time it did hit not across but down the middle into the net to make a service error for Rio Hondo. And now only 2 points away from taking this match is Brownsville Rivera up to serve, is Izaguirre, who has been an outstanding player in this match. And the service going to the right, making it a service ace for her. And now it's game point for Brownsville Rivera. And Izaguirre to serve again. Let's see if she can close out this game how she started with a lot of power and great playing. And that one's a good floating arc. And it looks like it may go out. Yes, it will. Rivera takes the ball, setting it up and the attack is recovered. Longoria with the setup and the kill attack. That was Ibarra, and that'll conclude set number 2 and game for Brownsville Rivera. They take it 25-11 after winning the first set 25-9. What a terrific, pure power domination by Brownsville Rivera.
Well, they set the tone early, and they rattled off a bunch of points in Game 1. Game 2 was challenged a little bit, but then the Brownsville Rivera Lady Raiders showing that once again, at least the early indication is they're going to be a team to reckon with in this Highway 83 JRS League. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap up this broadcast. Again, Rivera wins it 2-0. We'll be back right after this.
The bonds we create with our pets can be powerful. A man's best friend really isn't just about dogs, but about any animal companion that brings us joy and unconditional love. Losing a loved one is heart-wrenching, but losing a pet can be just as difficult. Unconditional love deserves unmatched service, which is why we offer pet services for those special pets that become a special part of the family. We serve all the members of your family.
For your construction needs in the Rio Grande Valley, check out Hosanna Construction in FAR. Formerly known as Guzman Construction, Hosanna Construction can design and build your home or take care of your home improvements. 802 East Expressway 83, FAR, Texas, Hosanna Construction. Formerly known as Guzman Construction. Call now for free consultations at 956-435-0381. Hosanna Construction, committed to serving you.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Rio Sports Live. We're here at the Donna Redskins volleyball gym here in Donna High School. I'm Alex Espinosa with Joe Bowling on my left side. On my right side, we have our camera operator, Billy Watson. And Joe, what a terrific game we saw for Brownsville Rivera as they won both sets, 25-9 in set number 1, 25-11 in set number 2. What did you see that favored Brownsville Rivera so much?
Well, first thing out of the gate is their serving was in, right to start it off. And the serving had enough pace that it had Rio Hondo's back row playing what I call catch-up. They were scrambling just to get the ball into play and to get it to the setter. That wasn't their indication. They just wanted to keep it in play. Once they settled in a little bit and started returning those serves, they had a little better chance. But Rivera attacking from the service line first, and then, of course, when they did return it, on a ball that was easy to play, then the setter was finding the big hitters, and it was advantage Rivera. But it all started with the service.
Service did have a big contribution to this game. In the initial set, the Brownsville Rivera led it 2-0, and those 2 points came off of service aces. Now, there was a little bit of miscommunication going on for Rio Hondo, and you saw that as there were a couple of balls that just went out of bounds. Players couldn't tell who was going to call it. How important is communication when you're a volleyball team in the varsity level especially?
Well, again, that's the luxury of this league, is these coaches know, well, the coaches can't be here, but they're around. And so they are watching their players to understand, okay, you're coming out of, in some cases, you're the primary player on a middle school or a JV squad. And so you're the one that's returning these serves. Well, now all of a sudden, everyone's looking to you. Can you do it? If you don't return a serve or two, then it is a question of communication. Who steps up? And so you could see that back row was talking like, okay, I've got this. And so they made adjustments. Rio Hondo got better as that game went along. But the key is, who's going to return the serve? And then do you have the confidence from the rest of your teammates that when the serve comes to your area in the back row, that serve is going to be returned to a setter so that you can now go on the attack. Instead of, if it's not to the setter and it's just kept in play and then the ball's put over on the other side, you're still on defense because here comes another set, here comes another big hit. That's what Rio Hondo was up against, and they'll have to make adjustments, but that's why this league is here. It's a full month before the season. You got time to do that stuff.
Yes, sir, and just before we conclude, I have one more thing to ask you, and from this game, from Rivera, who would you believe was the best player on that team?
Well, you got two. I mean, you got Kenya Ibarra, first of all, with the big kills. I mean, she showed that she is a dominant force on the front row. Wins set on the net, a little bit off the net. She could power the ball through. Then she rotated back to the service line and rattled off 8 to 10 points at the service line on her first rotation in the summer. You got to give a nod in that direction. On the other one, Laisha Izagari. Izagari was also dominant from the service line, had some play in the middle of the court once she got off the service line. But, again, if I had to give a player of the game, which we don't normally, but I would in this case, I'd give it to Kenya Ibarra. Points off the service line, points at the net, and then the where is she factor that every time she's on the court, now suddenly Rio Hondo's saying, okay, where's she at now? We have to make sure we account for where she's at.
I agree, and funny thing was that Laisha Izagira and Kenya Ibarra were the last two players to score the final 2 points of set number 2, which ultimately gave Rivera their win in this game. Any final thoughts, Joe, just before we conclude?
Final thoughts is I'm excited to be here. I'm happy for Alex Espinoza. Fans, I hope you enjoy his broadcasting. He'll be on Sports Live, allowing me to go to places like the Farr Event Center and get set up for boxing tonight versus being here broadcasting every game. So, again, my final thoughts are appreciation to you for what you're doing and, of course, to the fans of the Highway 83 JRS. We've just got it started. Games here tonight, games Thursday, games every Monday and Thursday, all the way to the final tournament before the high school season is right here upon us.
Thank you, Joe. Really appreciate it. And I appreciate that you trust Billy and myself with building these broadcasts. It's a great appreciation that being able to earn your trust like that.
Good stuff. All right, fans, that's going to do it for our broadcast. And this one in the books, 25-9, 25-11. Brownsville Rivera knocks off Rio Hondo. Our next broadcast coming up a little bit later on when this Rivera team takes on Harlingen South. Preview of a District 32-6A matchup. Can't wait to see it. Till next time, from Donna High School, Alex Espinoza, I'm Joe Bowling for Billy Watson. So long.